Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connections for Life. I am Ted Pete.
I'm Chad Ross.
You don't even like this. You couldn't even get a paintbrush. You had to fake a paintbrush.
I don't have. Wow. Wait, I don't. Why would I have a paintbrush? The only paintbrush I have would be a house paintbrush, which would
have been better than this.
I thought you wouldn't notice. I just moved it fast so you couldn't tell.
Yeah, we can tell. You looked at
it. Happy little tree over here.
Is it weird that my mouth doesn't move too?
Happy little tree over here. What are you painting? Why don't you show us the picture of your painting that you put up earlier? No, the other one.
I don't remember the other one.
We got to stop with these filters.
Yeah, I don't remember the other one.
Anyway, welcome back, Teddy. I know you were.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Vacation in Florida, the great Griswold family vacation in Florida, and the truckster.
Yeah. We took the truckster down to Panama City, and we had ourselves a copyright infringement of a Griswold family vacation.
Ted Pete and his what is it? The series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, I'll give you a brief recap. We had vehicle maintenance issues that, praise God, were much less significant than we thought they were going to be. They just cost us a lot of time. And then don't ever listen to your 14-year-old who's more tech savvy than you about the amount of water that can get into your phone.
This one's going to be fine. The new
one's good. Yeah. So don't take your
iPhone water tank next to you for the next half hour and see how fine it is.
Drop it in there. Yeah, that's a good idea.
No, I've learned my lesson. Don't take your iPhone XR snorkeling, and then don't ever let teenagers toss cell phones to each other because you end up having to buy screens.
Apple did a number on you this week, huh?
Listen, I think I got stock now.
No, you don't.
No, but their stock did rise because of you.
Yeah, their stock did rise.
Everybody that owns Apple stock, you're up a point today because of Teddy. So.
Yep.
It's good to have you back, Teddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, I missed you guys. I really did.
No, you didn't. That's a lie.
No.
So we did something a little different last week. A couple of months ago, we were approved to do LinkedIn Live. So we've been trying to figure that out, and we went on this week with our buddy James Taylor with Footage Tools, and we did that on Friday. For those that haven't seen it, yes, about Ted. He was at the Apple store.
Or the mechanic.
He was at the Apple store and the mechanic. But we went out with James to just talk a little bit more succinctly about the educational part of squeezing polyethylene pipe. And for everyone that didn't get to see it or weren't able to hop on, in lieu of doing an interview this week, we're going to post that after we get done talking. And hopefully you guys will get some value and some takeaway. We're going to try to do our show every week like we always do, but we're going to try to do some educational things every 2 weeks. So obviously not this week, but next week we're working on a few things, and hopefully we can just bring that education to the industry about some things that are going on and make it a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody help me out.
Aware?
Some awareness. Very good. There you go, Chad. Yeah, I'm actually shocked.
Everybody, blind squirrel gets it out once in a while.
Yeah, you better go take a nap. Your day's over. That's it for you today. Used it all up in one time. So we did it with James, and we thought it was pretty good. It was a different platform, a different format, please comment and let us know what you guys think. But I think we'll.
Yeah, well, it's an evolution of the show. Like, let's not rush into it. Like seriously, as the world has changed over the last year, we evolved, and this thing was kind of cool.
We have our own TV show now.
Literally, we have our own TV show that we produce weekly. Well, you guys do all the work.
No, Joe does, not me. I literally had nothing to do with this other than I showed up and clicked the link.
I've somehow by default been the guy that didn't do anything, the guy that does everything. I don't know how that happened.
You've done a really fantastic job.
Kudos to you guys for passing the torch all the way to me. I appreciate that.
Hey, I've somehow got out of doing anything for the whole time.
We know.
Yeah, we know. There's a bill that's coming your way.
There's a bill.
Yeah. That's why all your phones broke. It was karma for all your your bad decisions.
You almost swore on our show.
No, I didn't.
You almost did. It was close. I heard you.
Did I? I don't think so. I wasn't in my brain. I didn't feel like I was triggering a bad word. But
But like that's
I was gonna go,
like so when we started this thing, it was
like that.
structured and scripted, and then we kind of got to where it became sports talk radio for the natural gas industry with a guest here and there. And then we're like, all right, what do we do to maintain staying fresh? And Joe was like, I'll figure it out. You two sit in the back seat, shut your mouths while I drive, kids. And now we got a LinkedIn.
I started painting.
And he painted a pretty little tree.
I will listen to me. By the time we record next time, why don't you paint something? Let's see what it looks like.
Here's the thing. I went to a paint class one time, one of those things with my wife. Is that where that
what it would look like if I painted something?
It's all white. It's hard to see.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but I love you, Dad.
I love you, Dad. So you clearly didn't paint that.
I went to one of those wine and paint things with Lindsay. Not good for the guy. Not good for me.
Well,
I thought it was going to be amazing at it. It was bad.
Can you put together a little painting, little drawing? Maybe do a drawing.
Drawing, I can draw. I can draw really well.
Let's see your art skills. What would you like to draw and post?
I don't know. You can pick what you want me to draw.
I want you to draw what's behind you.
No. How can I draw that? It would take me a week.
No, I mean, it doesn't have to look just like that, but like a cabin, mountains, and trees.
That's a lot.
I don't want you to
draw like a dog.
I don't want you to do that.
It's gonna look like Snoopy or something.
I want you to give
me
a portrait of Joe. That's what I want.
Yeah, draw a picture of me.
There you go. I'm in.
All right.
Yes.
No, I have to remember to do it.
All right.
Somebody send me a reminder.
All right, back to what we're doing here, guys.
Back to our regular scheduled program. The evolution of the show has changed. You're going to see an awesome a live session that they had with James Taylor while I was getting sunburnt and paying Apple money.
Good for you.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to bring our friend James on, and we'll talk afterwards in the outro. Thanks, guys.
Anyways, let's just get started. I don't know if I can see or not see, but I'm just going to get going. If anybody's on here, hello, this is our first go live with Connections for Life. This is a little bit of a trial and error for us. So bear with us if it gets a little wonky, but today we have Mr. James Taylor with Footage Tools. I'm going to pass it over to Chad to talk a little bit more about James, and we'll go from there.
So I've known James for about 7 years. He likes the long walks on the beach. He has a large kayak that he tries to escape Canada to the U.S. from across the Lake Ontario. No, I'm just kidding. Well, partially. So James is with Footage Tools. Footage Tools manufactures squeeze tools, underground piercing tools, and some other tooling products in the utility world. James has been with them for 24 years. It's about as old as I am too. He's the leader of training and technical services with Footage, and he is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to squeeze and pipe. And I couldn't be more glad to welcome here to CFL Live, powered by Upscale.
Hi, guys. Yeah, James, good to have you. It's been 10, probably 11 years for me knowing you. We've spent many, many times in cars and traveling to customers. And, one of the things we wanted to do with our show and with this live is to be able to bring some content to people that's a little bit more educational. A lot of our interviews that we do for Connections for Life are fun, but there are a lot of historics. We talk about where businesses came from and how people got started and what they've been doing in the industry. But we thought to be able to add some value to our viewers and the people that potentially would want to tune in and watch us would be able to talk a little bit educational about some different products and services that we represent. And with you being, I believe, our first guest, is that correct, Chad?
He was, yes, he was.
Our first guest on the Connections for Life recording. We wanted to bring James on to talk a little bit more about polyethylene squeeze-off tools and some of the things that go along with that. So on one other thing, everybody, Ted's not here.
He's on vacation.
Teddy's on vacation. So we haven't gotten rid of him. We're just doing something a little different without him this week. So I'm going to pull up a little bit of a kind of a sidebar presentation. Please, everybody that's watching, if you do have any questions, just put them in the box or just write them in the comments. And then we'll get them on the screen and we'll go from there. We want to keep this really like an open forum and have everybody have an opportunity to ask any questions that they may have. So I'm going to bring this up and we should be able to get rolling here. So James, really quickly, why don't you tell everybody, just for those that maybe don't know, what a squeeze-off tool is?
Hey, everybody. Again, thanks, fellows, for including me on this. And again, the first time for live and the first guest too at CFL was a good.
Yeah, don't screw up.
So I feel like
don't mess it up for us. Don't mess it up for us.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I feel like guinea pig. What is a squeeze off? ASTM defines it as a technique to manually or hydraulically operate tools to temporarily compress pipe to possibly stop or control the flow of natural gas or flow control. So squeeze off can be manual or hydraulic. It's not unlike pinching a straw while you're having a drink of your soda or your water while you're trying to have a drink out of it. You're impeding the flow or stopping the flow. The basic of it, if you will.
So this was going to be my next question, but I wanted to show a kind of a representation of a picture here. Why do people squeeze, James? I know that there's some different reasons out there, but want to just kind of review those for the people.
And you can even touch the different industries that may use this, that may use it for the same purpose as you, James.
Yeah, great thing, great. Yeah, so say for the picture example, the picture on the left, that could be maintenance or emergency. That could be maintenance, whether you're going to tie in, adding a new subdivision in, new building, new business, or it could be in a bell hole where there's an emergency, where the picture on the right is 100 feet downwind, where they have to stop that flow of gas. So it can be used in either scenario, where emergency or maintenance, and it could look alike. So for example, the picture on the left could be used for maintenance, or it could be emergency in a bell hole, stopping the flow where that damage is. You see, that's an excessive damage, obviously, on the right.
Yeah, as Chad alluded to, James, I mean, obviously we're here talking about the natural gas industry, but there's a lot of reasons that other industries might squeeze pipe too. Do you want to just kind of cover what some of those might be?
Yeah, I know that the oil and gas, the gathering lines get used too as well in that industry too as well. Some of the irrigation industry, sometimes the water industry too, that they're taking out PEX line or taking out cast iron or not cast iron, but sorry, lead or galvanized water lines to people's houses. And they're putting in PEX, poly. That stuff can be squeezed too as well to stop the flow as well. Even some industries as the geothermal too as well. Instead of isolating a damage and pumping all that glycol out, they can squeeze off both sides, put a little bit in there.
Look at me learning something new today.
I didn't even know.
I don't even know what the last 3 words you said were. They were like 50 words, and I'm like a nickel guy. So,
in James' defense, I mean, it is you, buddy.
Fair enough. But I felt good because I learned something.
Yeah, I know. So as we move into, I just want to do kind of a quick recap, and then we can kind of get into some of the other things. But let's talk about the squeeze process. There's a lot of different things that go along with, if we just look at the tool and squeezing a pipe, it looks very basic, but there's a lot of things that go along with that. So let's just talk about from the very beginning, the steps that we would go through to actually properly squeeze a polyethylene pipe.
Yeah, for sure. So any squeeze off manufacturer has to put stops on it or over squeeze protection. So you want it, they're all set per pipe. So you look on your data stamp with circled there in red. We got a piece of 8-inch 13.5. We don't want to over squeeze the pipe. We need to clean the pipe. We want to visually inspect if there's any side of damage to it as well. I believe it's 10% they're allowed for damage, and that pipe has to be cut out. We also want to make sure there's any before we put the tool on, we want to make sure the tool is statically grounded too as well. Whether you're using ionic spray, wrap.
You're using ionics, James. You're going to use ionic.
Fair enough. It's a great product.
There you are, Dirk.
Yeah, there you go, Dirk. It's a great product. It applies with a color. So you got yellow gas pipe. You know exactly it goes on blue. You know exactly where it's covered. Anything that excavated in the pit is showing it. We also want to stay 3 times the pipe diameter away from any other squeezes, elbows, tees, joints, couplings, anything like that. We don't want to cause any damage to those.
Why is that, James? I mean, what's the reason to stay away from them? Is that just because where they were connected or where they were fused?
Just when you squeeze it, the squeeze doesn't just happen in the tool, the jaws of the tool. It gets translated left and right. So it oblongs the pipe left and right. That's why we want to say 3 times the pipe diameter away, minimum, to prevent any damage left or right, possibly encroaching on T or coupling or something like that.
So once we've kind of prepped the pipe, we're going to move into part 2, which is the squeeze tool preparation, which is also a very critical part of this. Let's talk through that. Just the tips and tricks to make sure that your tool is good to go.
Yeah, we want to make sure that that the tool is in good working order. Has it been maintained? Is the operator properly trained? Again, little known fact that operator skill and knowledge is part of ASTM, and we want to make sure that's covered too. That everybody follows that in their training, their SOP for the utility or they're working for, the contractor. We want to make sure our ground spike's in great shape too as well. We want to make sure there's a direct path to ground in the unlikely event static is developed or blows through the pipe or is on the pipe, as Dirk will talk about, in times, as you fellows know, that polyethylene pipe is an insulator, and it will hold static intermittently, and for years on end, it'll be there, it's there, and we want to make sure the operators are safe by grounding the tool first, then popping the tool on the pipe. So we want to make sure we got the tool in good working order, from our grounding spikes attached. We want to make sure there's no leaks if it's a hydraulic one. And then when we set our gauge plates or our stop caps in, so we got them set for the pipe in question. So they're set properly. We don't want to over squeeze the pipe. So we don't want to do that. So we set the gauge plates properly.
I know one of the things you always say to me is that right before you're getting ready to squeeze, once you have the tool down, you want to double check those gauge plates, because sometimes they can get bumped or shifted while you're setting the tool.
Yeah, for sure.
You've always kind of touched on that in trainings with me, that it's just really critical to make sure that those gauge plates, because they are on both sides of the tool, that are in alignment with the proper pipe that you're actually using.
Yeah, exactly right. They're on both sides. So maybe when it's halfway down, a boot cuff caught it, pant leg caught it, air hose caught it, something caught it, and it's flipped it. Even one turn could set the jaws off.
In that same point, James, I think it's important to note that when you guys make these, you can make it for custom sizes, and also, a lot of the competitors' tools on the market essentially only do 4 sizes a lot of times, where we can do multiple. So I just want to mention
that we can do custom ones as well. If there's buried infrastructure that's in the ground, for example, a legacy pipe from another utility they purchased that in an area, we've had that before, where a certain area has 3,000 feet of this pipe, we can do special gauge plates for them, so we can accommodate them, so that tool can be used everywhere in their network.
Cool. So as we move on, part 3, obviously you got to get the tool in the ditch, you got to get the squeeze the tool on the pipe properly. Let's just talk about that, go through that. There's a little homage to Dirk in the Ionics there.
Yep.
You can see a little picture. So why don't we just run through that quickly for everybody, just to give them an understanding of what the tools, how it's supposed to be centered on the pipe, and properly, I guess, prep to squeeze.
Yeah, so we got to clean that pipe, clean the tool jaws, make sure the static spike is in the ground properly, and then put the tool on. That spray is a great product. Again, you can see it, it's covered, anything that's exposed. We'll make it centered. As you see the picture there with the tape measure, we want to make sure that pipe is centered between the jaws. We don't want it to be pushed against one side, causing damage to the pipe and or tool. We also want to keep it 90 degrees so if we looked at a bird's eye view looking down, want to make sure that pipe and tool are 90 degrees. We don't want to be squeezing any larger surface area of the pipe when we have to. Well, we want to make sure it's 90 degrees and centered. And your one last chance to check those gauge plates again. We still got an inch or so in that picture before the gauge plates contact the bottom bar. But again, check them. That makes sense
to you.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding. I've been. I think it does. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to promote with this and take a minute to talk for a second is just to give everybody a really good understanding of the safest way to do it. In our industry, I mean, everything's about safety, specifically in the natural gas industry. And I know that your company and your tools are heavily focused on the safety part of it, and that's what we thought would be important to go over with everybody. And I know we'll touch on that further along, but I think it's critical in the beginning stages to make sure that, even though it might seem redundant to go through all of those stages, and I think once you get more comfortable with something, you tend to be lackadaisical on those safety features. I think it's very important to go through these things and remember that it's all part of the process of squeezing the pipe, whether it's cleaning the tool or cleaning the pipe, and proper preparation, and how vital and important it is. So I just wanted to go through that. We'll move on to I think. Hold on.
Hang on. I wanted to jump in and say happy Friday to Alex Jackson, too. That's all. Alex and Jim mentioned earlier, but Alex said happy Friday.
Appreciate it. So part 4, the squeeze. Let's talk about that, because that's kind of where the rubber meets the road, right? When we actually get the tool on the pipe and we're ready to start that squeeze process. So why don't we run through that, James?
Yeah. Well, again, we just want to ground spikes in the ground properly. If we can wet that spike too as well, water bottles, you've got your spray on, your wrap, whatever the company is dictating, make sure you use it. We want to start the process. Be mindful of your training procedures. The gas is going to keep squeezing until the gauge plates or stops are contacted, or the gas flow stopped, whichever comes first. You don't want it to carry on. Again, those gauge plates or over squeeze protection devices on manufacturer's squeeze offs are there to prevent the over squeezing of the pipe. So we don't want to do that. Flow verification can be done by gauges, or it could be audible. or electronic gas meters. Audible, I'll say if it's a blowing gas main and you're in a bell hole 100, 200 feet away, you're going to see a big dust storm. You're going to hear it. So it'll take time for that pipe to bleed down to when you're doing a squeeze. And once you get the pipe squeezed, we'll put any accidental release devices on the pipe, on the tool, to make sure it doesn't accidentally open. In the unlikely event something happens to the pump or a hydraulic line or anything like that.
And one of the other reasons, James, is on a hydraulic. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but you could actually put those bolts in and keep those down with the accident release, and take your pump and hook it up to another one, and actually use that pump on two different tools.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of our design features and of our hydraulic tools, where you can use one pump and two tools. Like Chad said, you could take it down. Our lockdown bolts are included with the tool. Thread them in, locks that tool together, depressurize the pump in the system, and then move that pump to another squeeze and to the other side.
Is that something that's specific to footage tools only, or is that universal for all?
Pretty specific to ours. We use double acting cylinders, so we can do that.
Okay. I think. Go ahead.
No, you said I think.
My head glitched. I'm sorry. My mind glitched. I had a glitch.
Don't make me mute you, Google.
I will.
So I also want to touch on accidental release devices. I know on your tool you have bolts that are on the side that you tie those down. Are there any other things in the industry that people might use in lieu of those?
We've also come out with some accidental or safety lockouts for our manual tools. They're the cap that would go on. You take your torque bar you'd use for actually operating the tool, take that out, put a cap on there, or inversely, you could also on the hydraulic tools lock out the pump itself. So the pump lever between squeeze or release could never be operated. It locks it out with a with a long threaded lock, or your lockout tagout device. You could put more than one lock on there too. Supervisor, worker, that kind of thing too as well. So we're trying to keep foremost safety for the operator and safety for the industry. If we can do that with our tool design, our static spikes, gauge plates, custom ones, accidental releases, safety lockouts, we want to make sure that we are looking after the user safety-wise.
I mean, after the other thing we want to move to is the next slide, which is part 5, which would be the release. And I think that's vitally as important as the squeeze. I think most people think about the squeeze as being very, kind of the whole process. Once you've got the pipe down, your process is done, you do your tie-ins, your repairs, whatever. But the release is equally as important from a safety perspective, and also for the pipe as it relaxes to be able to go back to its natural state. Let's just review that process, JT, and talk with everyone about that.
Yeah, great observation. We missed that when we were in the beginning part of the squeeze. Our ASTM actually dictates a squeeze rate, so it says 2 inches a minute or less. So I should have touched on that earlier, but yes, you're exactly right. The release is equally as important to take that time, because you're taking that pipe that's round and you're changing its shape. You want to make sure that you give those molecules, I'll call it, molecules inside them, as we talked about in the first slide there, those 3 pictures of that pipe changing shape. We want to give it time for those molecules to change, orient and become flat, if you will. So we want to take time for that. So removing your accidental releases, start your release process, being mindful of your company's training procedures. We want to take our time. It's not a speed race, and take our time. We took our time with the squeeze. We want that pipe to relax. We want to do the same thing for releasing it too as well.
Gotcha. And again, I think a lot of this boils back to safety, right?
Yep.
I mean, these rules and regulations are created because of safety. Look, I even keyed the slide up like I did. Like I knew.
Wow! Look at you!
I know. Look at that.
I'm so proud of you as the producer.
And I'm getting better at
the producer.
Yeah,
executive producer.
I told you, it gives me anxiety. I have no control over it. Joe does. It just makes me like little.
That's by design.
Skittish.
Thanks.
But in all seriousness, there's been a big push in the industry, and even I've seen it. And I know, James, you've been 24 years. I've been about 11 in the gas industry. There's been a big push, I think, more and more and more. And we've talked to previous guests. I mean, I know Mike Hallen or Mike Hickey from Hallen Construction we've asked that question to a lot of people, like what has changed in your time in the industry? And almost exclusively everybody was training in safety.
Yep.
And I think that's one thing that has become a topic that's on the forefront of everything that we do. So I just really want to talk about the safety aspect of squeezing pipe, and let's go through this slide really quickly if you could.
Yeah, no, it's again, you're going to watch all your stuff on you're exactly right. I agree with Mickey that safety and training is key. There's been too many sad instances and sad stories of something gone wrong. The industry has taken notice. Manufacturers have taken notice to improve that. Again, you're around a trench, monitor your open trench scenarios too as well. Be mindful of your back injuries. You're even moving, picking something up. You know, I've tweaked my back over the years, like you probably fellas probably have. You know, pick a piece of paper up off the floor the wrong way. It's like, damn, that hurt.
I heard that every day.
Just putting a kayak in, you hurt your back.
Yeah, exactly. Always wear your PPE and avoid any pinch points. But number four probably should have been number one, but they're all equally important. Is your company SOP and your training. Follow those squeeze rates, release rates. Follow your training. Follow your SOP. For any questions, ask the manufacturer, ask your training department. Again, my passion is to make sure that everybody's trained and understands the tool. Again, they don't do this all the time. For example, the hydraulic ones, there's a few steps, as you fellas know, that you don't use them all the time.
Right.
You may forget. We've got a couple of YouTube videos we can do to make them available on our YouTube channel, just to keep everybody updated. And
you've done some really cool stuff. You've done some really cool stuff through the pandemic too, James, with training out of your garage. Really, I mean, I know a lot of people have taken advantage of getting in front of a bigger TV and having you do that from there. So we appreciate that.
It's in the FYI. It's in the basement now because the garage was too cold in the winter.
Now it's spring.
Not in Canada.
Nope.
We do have a question from Mr. Bill Murray. Bill's an employee with us at Upsco, but he actually brings up a good question. I know it's something that actually gets brought up a lot, specifically when we're talking at gas utilities or contractors that work in different environments. Some are very, very cold. Some are very, very warm. If you really could quickly answer Bill's question, James, what considerations should be given to squeezing or releasing pipe during cold temperatures? And with that being said, let's also talk about hot temperatures as well for the people that might be in warmer climates.
Yep, a great question, Bill. Uncle Bill there. Thank you for that. ASTM says you should take longer. The Plastic Pipe Institute, technical note 54, says to double it. So they've taken ASTM, made it a little safer. So I think below 32 or 0 degrees Celsius, we want to take double our time. Again, those molecules are cold, much like us. We want exercise or warm up before we do an exercise or an athlete. They're going to warm up, get ready to get their pipe ready. Not to get ready, but give that pipe molecules a chance to reorientate. In warmer climates, you don't have that problem. You can still take your training limit to your 2 inches or 2 inches per minute, but again, it's not as required when it's warmer. The pipe's actually going to flow better because all the molecules are warmer. Much like butter, warm up butter, it gets more liquid, easier to spread. Same idea. That pipe reacts better chance of giving a better flow control.
Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Goose.
Mine's a funny one. Yours is probably serious. Go ahead.
I did. Well, it was in pairing with what James just said. So in colder, below 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, so 2 inches per minute should go to 4 inches per minute. Or sorry, is that correct?
Yeah, we want to double. Take our time, double our time. So yeah, for 2 inches, 4 minutes. Again, nothing's a speed race. Yes, there could be a car on top of a meter. That picture we saw with the damage, it could be that blowing gas. But we do want to take our time. We don't want to make 2 incident points. We have that blowing gas, that pipe damage we saw in the picture, and then possibly something happens where we squeezed. That would be bad. We want to take our time, let that pipe relax, take our time. Yes, time is of the essence. Yes, it's probably going to be cut out. But again, still be mindful if we can keep everything in our favor, that we've set the pipe centered, 9 degrees, still take our time, get a good flow control.
And again, safety.
Yeah. Yep. I just wanted to know if you knew what Schedule 55 was, since you knew what 54 was in the code.
I have no idea.
Is
that embarrassing?
When you pulled that out, I was like, wow, that's impressive.
So
I'm old guy have to learn some things. Everyone's
I'm proud of you.
I hope nobody fact checks you on that.
55 or 54?
He made it up.
As we do talk about standards here, there's I guess we've brushed across the ASTM a couple of times, but let's go through it just a little bit cleaner, and give everybody an understanding of what those ASTM standards say and what they call for when squeezing polyethylene pipe.
Yeah, so ASTM, if anyone's not familiar with it, they're back from the early 1900s. They do things as testing. for such things as surgical implants, the titanium ones, toy safety, welding procedures, how plastic pipe is manufactured, how steel pipe is manufactured. They cover a lot of things. It's integral to the safety of the pipe. A lot of testing is done by utilities, labs, to get this information, to get this 2 inches per minute, to get the half-inch minute release rate. This is not something that's just been, yesterday was developed. This is eons of time have gone by. It's been tried, tested, and true by pipe manufacturers, utilities, squeeze-off manufacturers, laboratories, to develop these features to keep the operator safe, the pipe safe as well. So yeah, the squeeze-off manufacturers dictate, ASTM dictates how squeeze-off manufacturers can be done. They can do single bar, double bar, over squeeze protection, workmanship, appearance, all that kind of stuff is how the tool is designed. And once that's all met, it all becomes features and benefits. And one of the benefits of our tools, and anybody who's used them, is they're a lot lighter. So one of the benefits, after everything's all met with ASTM 1563, it all becomes features and benefits. Then you go to ASTM 1041, it talks about more the technical stuff, the 2 inches per minute or less, half inch a minute or less, static protection, circling back to Dirk, get that pipe statically grounded or dissipated, the static, put your spike in, your squeeze location we talked about, 3 times the pipe diameter away from a previously squeezed area, because you can never squeeze a same spot twice, away from T's, elbows, joints, cold weather, we touched on that, Joe. We want to double our time if it's below 32 or 0 Celsius. ASTM also says about operator skill and knowledge. Section 3.21, the operator skill and knowledge is a requirement too as well, to make sure they understand the squeeze off process.
And one of the other ones too, I'm going to move to the next slide, is 5.5. And I know that that's an important one, the flow control. Yep. So let's just talk about that in conjunction with the 3.2.1. If you want to just touch on that for everybody, is the really, I guess it's the one that you talk about the most.
Yeah, again, great point. Flow control, in the yellow square there, the very first sentence, reduction of gas flow, in some cases, the complete stoppage of flow. And then also it says in 3.21, in the last sentence, under certain conditions, complete stoppage or flow may be obtained. We can't go into this thinking that these squeeze offs are going to give us 100% flow control every time. There's going to be wall thickness variations. There's going to be debris inside, possibly from construction. Various things that are going to
even like
affect.
The striations in pipe when
Yep.
it's manufactured internally.
Yep.
I mean, I know you can't see it really, but if there's that
unevenness in it. Again, just one more thing against getting good flow control. And again, it's nothing the squeeze-off manufacturers are doing wrong. It's nothing the squeeze-off manufacturer doing wrong or the pipe manufacturer doing wrong. It's just the way it is. Again, it could be something simple as sand and gravel inside there from a construction site.
Sure.
I heard one one story where they couldn't get a squeeze and they wondered why. I think it might have been a guillotine cutter, but not same process, but same concept affected the job. Wonder why the guillotine cutter wouldn't go through. It actually chipped the blade. Back the tool out, chipped blade. What was that? So they cut it out, moved it over, cut it out with a screwdriver laying in the bottom of the main. Huh. So something as silly as that could be a squeeze off. It could be anything inside, garbage blown in if the end wasn't capped during construction, a construction site.
That's a good point.
Could be something to do with vandalism. Kids putting stuff in it. If it's not covered and protected, the kids not knowing what it is, putting stuff in it.
I think it all boils back to, again, that safety part as we talked about. I mean, all these specifications and all of the reasons for ASTM to exist is for safety, I believe. And
exactly.
Proper use of tools and whatever it may be. As you said, ASTM covers, I don't know, I think it even said on it was a 12,000.
Yeah, 12,000
standard. I was actually going to mention, I couldn't believe it's 12,000.
Yeah, there's a lot of they do their homework, if you will. Pardon the expression, they do their homework, make sure everything's tested and tried and true. That squeezing polyethylene pipe is very safe if it's done properly. Be mindful of the pipe's condition to start off with. It's not damaged. You're using the right tool for the right job. You got your static spray on, protecting the pipe. You got your static ground spike. The whole steps all we've covered today. But knowledge is key too as well, to know what to expect. If you do testing in your trial at your, in a rain day, a toolbox talk on your, in your shop.
Connections for Life Live.
Yeah, that's too. First of many.
Hopefully. Guys, don't be afraid or scared to ask questions, please, if there are any pop up. James, I know we have a very short video I wanted to play for everybody. I'm going to have you do voiceover on it, so I'm just going to kill the sound, if that's okay with you. And we can just kind of go through in real time and see the process from kind of start to finish, if that's all right with you.
Your chance to do a good voiceover, James. Like Roger the Rabbit or something.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, right, exactly. This is also this is a
see how well I can do.
It's your chance.
So here we go.
So this is our C850 tool. It's a 4-inch to 8-inch hydraulic tool, 123 pounds, just for reference. So we want to make sure to depressurize our pump. Make sure no pressure in the lines anywhere. That's our CRV, our controlled release valve. That gives us automatically 1/2 inch a minute release rate upon release. Release our lockdown bolts if they're engaged on both sides of the tool. Make sure they're not engaged. Make sure our fittings are disconnected or uncovered and cleaned on both tool and pump. Male and female, we can't mix them up. I like to put our caps together, keep the dirt out of them. We put an orange ring on there, orange paint ring. So if you can see any orange like that, it's not a good connection. The oil's not going to flow. The tool's not going to operate. Put our tool in squeeze to open it up. So it's time to squeeze now. We've got the tool open sufficiently for the size of pipe. Our ground spike we touched on goes in the ground. It's firmly attached. So we don't want it to, again, bird's eye view we touched on. We want to make sure it's nice and 90 degrees. We want to keep it centered. A little floating centering device in the middle. Help keep it centered visually. There's also arrows on the tool. Our gauge plates are set. And squeeze. We're going to squeeze it till we get that pipe snug in there. And I say snug where if it was in the ground, we could make sure, again, I'll just try it there. Snug it up. We close our controlled release valve, finger tight clockwise. Again, that makes sure it's ready to go during the release. So we're going to squeeze. Obviously, the magic of video here, it goes a lot faster. Look at that.
This is the fastest footage training I've ever been through. You're the member machine guy.
Yeah, that's what it says. And we saw the lockdown bolts rise up. When they start rising up, come in contact, we'll start threading them in. Do our gauge plate. We don't come to the gauge plates, or when the flow is stopped, whichever comes first. Release our gauge plates, our lockdown bolt. Sorry. Release with that CRV. We close finger tight clockwise. That tool will open at 1/2 inch a minute now. Again, it's like watching paint dry at this point. Again, there's no pressurized. There's no paint. There's no pressurized gas in there, and it's an open piece of pipe. And once the pipe was rebounded fully, or to a point where it will not open by under its own power, you can open that needle CRV, take that out of play, and pump the tool open to remove it from the job site. Well, that sort of give the Coles notes on that. The fastest squeeze we've ever done.
No, that was
awesome. The one thing I wanted to point out there during that is you touched on it quickly because you had to, but when you go to release and you open up that valve, that tool releases at the ASTM standard, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's we've put that as a manufacturer that ASTM says 1/2 inch a minute or less. We've put that in there. So when you flip that lever back from squeeze to neutral release, that tool will open 1/2 inch a minute. Again, if that's too fast, if it's below 32 or 0 Celsius, or your training says slower, flip that lever back to squeeze, the pipe will stop opening. So you can do your own. You can make a hybrid. So your watch is working on your wrist. You've got that opening too. You want to stop it, give it more time to relax.
Again, if it's a colder day or something along those lines, it requires a little bit more time. I think that's it, man. I don't want to keep everybody on here forever. I appreciate everybody showing up. There was one comment that I put up there from Stephen Watts. And I just
great point too.
Make sure your crews have determined if the system is a one-way or two-way feed. Do you want to touch on that, James, just really quickly?
Yeah. So gas can be coming both ways. If it's going to hit a T and go a different direction, become different part of the city or a network, gas can be going both ways, from left to right, I'll call it. So we want to make sure that we know that we have to, if that's the case, we have to have 2 squeeze offs, one to stop one side on the right, for example, and the other one on the left to stop that flow in both directions. So again, a lot of utilities will carry two tools on their trucks or crew trucks to just in case they're not or they're working in the city, squeeze out both sides of it just in case. But it's a great observation. Thank you for raising that too, sir.
Yeah. So we'll let everybody bounce, but I think, James, thanks. I mean, you were our first guest on Connections for Life. You're first guest on Connections for Life Live. This was new for us and a little different. I hope that everybody was able to get something out of this. Please look James up on LinkedIn. It's James Taylor. It's not a tough name, and you can find him pretty easily. I know James would be more than happy to answer any additional questions, or if there's any more information that you'd like, please reach out to myself or James or to Chad at any time. And we're going to try to do these more often. If you guys enjoy it, comment, let me know what you'd like to see and other things that we can do in the industry. And we just want to do some more educational things to kind of really ramp up the understanding as we still kind of are in the COVID thing, and we're kind of working through that we want to be able to build some content that people find valuable and that we can do every now and again. So thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you, Chad, for being my co-host and counterpart.
Thank you, Joe, for figuring most of this out, dude.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
We kind of just sat through it while he was like, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this.
He got better than yesterday too.
Yeah, you guys are my guinea pigs yesterday. So thanks for that. And James, as always, man, I love you to death. I can't wait to see you again.
No, for sure. I miss you guys.
We miss you like crazy. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you on the next Connections for Life.
Any questions? Give me a shout.
Bye-bye.
All right. New format, new platform.
I'm disappointed you didn't say the same thing. Thank you, James, for coming for that. Yeah, really threw
that was the first time in 56 weeks you haven't said that. Man, you got
new man
from vac. Listen. Chuck, what's his name?
Barry?
No.
Lang?
Charles W. Griswold.
Clark.
Oh,
Clark
Henry.
Griswold.
You mean Henry or Harry?
Yeah.
What is going on?
I am now Harry Clark W. Pete Griswold.
Ted has no idea what his first name is.
Enough. Clearly, you need to watch the movie.
I got him all confused.
The guy that remembers literally everything from every movie can't remember Clark Griswold.
No.
Just saying, man. I don't know what happened. Did you fall down on your trip? Hit your head? Anyways, let's talk about James. We put that together really quickly, and James was gracious enough to be our first guinea pig, much like he was our first guinea pig and guest on Connections for Life. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. So, James, thank you for being the first guy to trust us to be able to put that together for you. I'd like some comments and feedback. You know, what you guys might like to see, and what I know no one will. Maybe Doug Stafford will write something.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'd just like to know, like, what topics you guys would be interested in, like what facets of the gas industry, whether it be corrosion or tooling and equipment, maybe fusion, you know, what we could talk about and do a little bit more educational and fact-based conversation, going forward. The unique thing about the live format, and I think I would like everybody to help participate with this, is that you can ask questions of the person right then and there via the comment box. So you can really be part of the conversation, and it doesn't have to be something that send an email afterwards or something like that. You can really be on there and get information real time. So it's interesting. We'll come up with some new stuff. It was a little scary because I didn't know what I was doing.
But thank you to Joe. Seriously, I think you did a great job, even in the production piece where you talked about those questions and you even figured out how to pull them up on the screen so people could see them as you asked them. And it was really cool. You did a great job. You really did.
Thanks.
I mean, all I did was kind of show up and talk. So
all the credit to JT for, like I said, putting together the presentation and working through it with us.
He did a great job too.
We'll do another one in 2 weeks. So
it was my best performance.
You did great.
You were awesome.
You're really quiet though. It was odd.
You realize your next intro, Chad, you have to find a Clark W. Griswold themed
100% on it.
Just wanted to clear the air on that one.
So Harry and the Hendersons. That's why I keep getting them confused.
Why? They're not even John Lithgow. Is that what we're doing here?
I think but it's not even the same guy.
It's not even because they both had a station wagon. I mean, I'm trying to draw inferences. I don't even think it was like an SUV. I don't even know what's going on. One had a Bigfoot. Anyway,
it's a station wagon. It's the same station wagon.
Close to the same. No, they weren't. One was the family truck store.
All right. Enough. So, any news and happenings around the world, boys? Anything we want to talk about?
Have you guys heard about the fact that like the entire fuel industry gasoline industry got hacked?
I think you went a little. You went the entire fuel industry. I don't think it was the entire thing, but way to build up the suspense.
East and Southeast United States. Let's talk about that. I assume you're talking about the Colonial pipeline incident. Yes.
The cyber attack.
Cyber attack from a company. Is that got a company or?
There you go. Yeah. So I assume you're talking.
Well, it's a group. Like, no. I mean, it's a group. I don't know if they're a company. What are they? The guys that hacked them? I don't know. They're
terrorist organization.
They are obviously.
Honestly.
Do you think they have like a building somewhere where they all like go to work every day? Or do you
no, they have a laptop.
I don't know. It sounds like a legit thing. There's a lot of people doing this. I don't know.
I'm blown away by the fact that they have shut down operations at Colonial since Friday. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I think the only times and you look this up, I think, Joe, but I don't know if they've ever been shut down because of cybersecurity before. I know they've been shut down multiple times, but mostly.
Did they say like one of the states only has like 11 days worth of gasoline left?
No, it was an airport. One airport does, because there's a lot of it's jet fuel that they're pumping up too. The East Coast is the Northeast is kind of protected because we have that fuel coming in from Europe if we need it. But the Southeast is really kind of, gas in Florida's up significantly. I mean, defined significantly, but it's up. The scarier part is they don't really know when it's coming back.
So they really don't have a clue.
It's scary. I read in an article, I believe it was the Washington Post, and I could be wrong on that, but I think it was, that there was 2,400 cyber attacks on businesses and organizations in the United States last year. I don't think people realize how
Can you imagine being the IT guy at the pipeline right now?
I don't think it's a guy.
You know what I mean? Like the head of the IT.
I think Bob gets a call on a Saturday, but no, it's crazy. It kind of made me think, more about not necessarily about the fuel or energy industry, but any industry.
But Joe, I know that sounds like a lot, 2,400, but it's in retrospect, there's 1.4 billion businesses in the United States. I'm just saying, 2,400 is a lot, and you don't hear
but
anything
you only
about
need to attack 4 of them to really screw things up.
Yeah, true. The biggest ones. If you can get in the biggest ones, you got them all.
Or I've heard stories like the mom and pops, man. The mom and pops that get hit by somebody and they can't do anything about it. They don't have an IT guy. They don't have someone who can combat this. So you've got to say a fairly successful, grocery store business. You got 5 or 6 grocery stores, and then somebody hacks your stuff, and now a couple hundred people don't have jobs or can't get paid and that kind of stuff.
Can't get food.
It's just weird because I don't think we ever really think about that. Like when we think of security, at least I do. When I think of security, I'm thinking about
locking your door, having an alarm,
robberies and burglaries and things. But this is a big thing, and I think you're going to see more and more of it.
Especially with the pivot to cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? That's something that I don't know how my brain wired these two together. We talk about this, but I don't know anything. Yeah.
What are you talking about? That?
As more of the world turns to crypto,
it is
as a viable means of payment and whatnot.
Well, everything runs off of software now. There's, before, to run Colonial Pipeline 40 years ago, there was some guy that went out there, turned those valves by hand to change the products.
Yeah.
Now somebody sits at a computer, hits a button, and it goes, okay, we put a pipeline pig and our other product in between for our, 1,000 feet, and now we're changing from unleaded fuel to jet fuel, because that's literally how it works too. Yeah. They dump that amount in the pipeline, and then each section goes different places and things like that. It's pretty wild, actually.
Was there a movie like that? I'm sure there was. If there isn't, somebody could make one. Spielberg, if you're paying attention.
Firewall.
No.
I know the name of that movie, but it's Firewall.
Yeah, okay, I believe that. You Clark Griswold, but you got that out of your.
You're right, and it's got Harrison Ford in it. I want to say, or Richard Gere.
I don't believe anything you say about movies. Then.
No, can't believe it all up now.
Your movie reference is out the window.
You sure it wasn't Howard the Duck? Sorry.
I'm pulling it up right
IMDb.
No, but I'm just saying, you don't really think about how we're dependent on all of this to exist. I mean, electrical grids and power grids, and obviously
water. You got to think all your water lines are not controlled that way as well. I mean,
we could beat the horse on this forever. And as Teddy looks up Firewall to try to prove
look at him trying. He's just trying.
We should go.
Firewall stars Harrison Ford, a banker who's forced by criminals, led by somebody.
What's amazing is you couldn't come up with
help them steal $100 million. The film grossed almost $83 million and received negative reviews.
Yeah, but wait, stop. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like I want a movie done like in a post-apocalyptic, like everything shuts down, the internet shuts down, and then 10 years later, what does the country?
Somebody's stealing that.
Mad Max.
Oh, Spielberg's writing it down right now.
Mad Max.
Post-apocalyptic. That's a little like the title of it.
It's a little different. Spielberg, if you're watching, I want to.
Waterworld. That's what it is.
Kevin Costner. That's a great.
We've been literally talking about this way too long.
It's okay. It's been fun.
All right,
gas fact. Are you guys going to dump my gas fact? We're not doing gas.
I don't know if did you have one?
I always prepared.
I didn't know if you had one.
The fact is, Ted doesn't know who's in.
This week, my gas fact is Ted has no idea who's in any National Lampoon movie.
I started something online on LinkedIn. I've been posting a poll every Monday and Wednesday, with just like gas facts, so people can learn and also play along. So. The one this week I wanted to bring up was, I'm going to read it to you guys. You guys are going to get 4 choices, and this is on the internet. We'll see what you get. Natural gas use in homes has remained flat since 1970, while the number of customers served or serviced has increased by blank percent.
12
choices.
Wait a minute. A 48, B 48, A 48, B 86, C 72, or D 58.
I already answered this on the internet, and I will stay with my same answer, which was 72.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure, though, but I did answer.
The 80% one, 86%?
Ted is right. It is 86. And I've actually had, hold on, let me refresh this. Let me see. I haven't had that many votes yet. Wait for it. I've had 8 votes, and 72 is actually leading. So most people have been wrong.
Ted, we made it look bad. Appreciate it.
But that's why I want to post these, because I think people can learn. So I post them for 3 days, and then I put the answer and a little fact underneath it. So I
like that, Joe. Very nice job.
Just trying to.
Well done. Hey guys, we really, really appreciate you guys joining us. Remember to click like, subscribe, follow, go to the website, which is what, Chad?
www.connections-4-life.com.
.com.
That was my commercial voice.
Yeah.
And then make sure that if you're not following Joe Surratt's personal account on LinkedIn, that you do so that you can get plugged in when we go live in 2 weeks with our next educational seminar that we're hosting on LinkedIn.
A seminar. It's not really a seminar. It's just more of a
go. Listen, I'm hip with the kids, and we call it going live. We're just going live. And the kids do it on IG, and we do it on LinkedIn.
Please stop.
Okay. All right, guys. Until next week.